let's see what exactly is going on with Capital and the feeling of exhaustion in PSO. Yeah. I saw it, Coon. Yeah, the Frankenstein meme that you sent me, right? Or was it something else that I missed? Let me know. But let's see what's going on with Cass. Like, always chat, Gaudy yields. Let me know how the audio is. Let me know if I need to bump this up. And I forgot what's going on, chat.
I guess it's just me, or does it feel like everyone's just like fatigued?
Yes. I'm going to say yes. I'm going to say all of us. I know I am. I know I'm fatigued, chat.
Like,
Holy
does everybody
hell.
else feel fatigued with this game? Maybe that's what the word is. Because I've been like asking around, or just like been hearing from other people, like streamers or not, that they just like haven't really been playing as much. They haven't really felt the want to play.
Yeah, real quick on this. I'm in the camp. I get real quick, chat. We all live on YouTube at Well White now. Hi, everybody. Is yeah, I think honestly, I think the biggest thing right now, as far as fatiguing, that probably not helping. Outside of, by the way, Diana here and gleaming at us, by the way. So say hi to Diana, chat. But I feel like at that point, the thing that not really helping is since as of now, getting to 75 is like what 2-3 hour top on every class. If you're someone that already have mat level everything or pre level 75. Also like right now is there's not really anything to really do because of like you could like farm the new weapons and good luck with that. But at the same time, it literally like we are right back to where we was in what was it 2021, wasn't it? When NGS came out, we are right back, literally doing the same thing. Now the only difference is the enemy and the forest and laboratory, and now 75 and not 15. Or actually, I think they're more like 73, 74, right? But yeah, it been like literally like what 2-3 years later, and we still doing the exact same thing. And then not counting once again, we do have GWiz saying that the stuff on the world map is not everything. It only summed up. But till we find out what that August update is, and who knows the August update gonna be anything like long term by any means. It right now is literally like any on a casual level. If you spent like what 10-15 hours, you pretty much already at the end, especially if you don't care about leveling every class and whatnot. But yeah, kind of like Will I have said before, well, the in-game of PSO is the same in-game we had going back to the original quote beta. So like there's not really any gold. There's nothing to really grow on. The drop rate is as horrible as ever, so no real motivation for it. We have the season point, but outside of the few house items that like it. And to be honest, like I've been feeling that way for probably the last like year. To be honest, any of the PS2 launch and the house stuff did bring back a little bit of excitement there for a bit, but yeah.
Nearly as much.
Wait, there more? Well, I only saw the one
Just
coon.
because of just several things that have been happening in the game. Just like high expectations for version 2, and that just kind of dropped the ball. All the content that's been
I wouldn't say
like,
replay,
has
but
been limited content that goes away. That's either good or bad, but it still goes away.
yeah.
And then
Which,
rewards still.
which, like I said, about to go away bit. I wish the stuff didn't go away. Like, I get they probably gonna introduce triggers or something at some point, but I still like wish, especially with like the Sonic stuff as example. I say very small, might not be for everybody, but I still wish they would have like keep the stuff around and then put leaderboards on it, and not leaderboards that get a waste in a week, like actual leaderboards.
A lot of whack. Other content drops, like this photo UQ isn't anything like spectacular is just another urgent quest that doesn't really, change anything. Doesn't really change anything. It exists.
Yeah, just
As like
they'll
another
add
option, I
filler
guess.
content
I think that
till
ad
you
now
get
could be
bored of
switched
it.
later. I don't.
Cause not
I
like
don't
we
think
get
that's
anything from the
exactly
origin
what it
quest, right?
is. Because with every MMO, eventually the content is going to be a little bit more outdated. I think this goes for any game, pretty much. Like,
Yeah,
there's gonna be
any remote connected MMO eventually will have one or two things that become pointless. No will end up content. Exactly. Like what Cato was talking about there with like the stuff going away and the drops and whatnot. And like the stuff that could be content, it took it away. Don't hang around like long enough. Don't give proper reward to it. Like I've talked about many times of like there were like little thing they could do to make it worth doing. But they just put it out, people do it, it dead in a week, and then they go away. And nothing really changed at all. Like literally the only thing that changed is technically all the AC stuff.
eventually something better out there to give you, better rewards. Like, I mean, would you just want the rewards to be the same throughout the entirety of the game? No.
Yeah, we still getting level 1 or wealthy
I just
1
think it
items
depends on in
in
the
75
moment.
zones.
Does it feel good? Like, does it feel like it's a waste of time or not? Does it feel like it's fun? Does it feel like it's rewarding?
I feel like it's in the wait the time point right now, personally.
For how long it takes. And I feel like most people would answer, something's rewarding, but it isn't fun to do, or, the opposite. Like, oh yeah, it's rewarding, but it isn't very fun. At least not to do over and over again.
Yeah, I feel like honestly, I feel like the strongest content in the game, we will get to in what the cat video, is like, obviously the strongest content here, especially the way the game is going right now, is the VR chat stuff. Like the housing chat room, communication stuff, idling in cities, like that it really feels like it lives. And then everything outside of that is like a wasteland at that point. So like if you're not like heavily invested in just hanging around talking with whoever or in whatever zone, if you're not invested in that, then you don't really got all that much. That pretty much will it then. If you're outside of that part of the community, like yeah, you don't have a lot right now.
I think that's just like a huge problem. And I feel like Sega
Still
has
could
been
be
playing
yeah.
it safe. Like they've just been
Yeah,
doing the
lot. Honestly, though, what you were saying, though, Mason, like with the dropped up. Yeah, like when we got Zig Shop in America and Japan, like I feel like the Zig Shop is like helped out so much, with like being that carrot on the stick. Any of some like the lower equipment because of like how the augment system worked in PSO2 with it being on weapons. Like trying to get like certain weapons here with certain abilities on them, and then like dealing with the whole trade-in with zigged up. It actually made like lower level stuff still relevant in one way or another. Don't get me wrong, there would always a few outliers that would just garbage to be garbage, but for the most part, it kind of leaned more into when you had crappy items, you still had good stuff to work towards with them. Which is the main reason why I still wanted to be able to take like wealthy one equipment and break it down into a material that we can then trade in for, something. Might be like AC item, might be weapon stuff, might be whatever. Cause that was honestly like also the biggest thing for me when it comes to like the drop stuff and it just how much they keep adding more and more stuff that do go away, but they keep adding more high level stuff to do. But the problem is like the stuff you get for doing the high level stuff, it's still the stuff you were getting at like level 4, 5, 10. And it's just like, not having like very, like, don't get me wrong, I know like some of the weapons are specifically tied, such as like right now with the new weapon being like, oh, that one in the forward, that one in, Mount Madness. But having pretty much every monster almost, not completely, but almost have the ability to pull item from every item in the game, it just like flooded to the point of just making everything feel like, you are indeed just like wasting time, for any of it. And that I ain't counting bringing in the whole like, the replacement weapons we get every like 3 to 6 months. And because the biggest thing on that end is like PSO is like very much outside of I get 9 really a percentage, but for the most part, most of the equipment is like new equipment come, the bet equipment, everybody go for it. It doesn't matter what class you are, it don't matter what type of build you're going for, because all the weapon series have the exact same stat across the board. Might it be melee range or, mages. So it always like, instead of having like ability to do multiple builds, multiple like weapon farming, it kind of all just bottlenecks, back down to like a single point. And in return, when you have that, like every other equipment that come before it, it literally relevant for such a little time is, I know at least for me, and I know a lot of other people as well, is like, why spend the time farming that when, literally with how the drop rate is, by the time you get it, it might always be replaced, or it might be easier to just buy it off the market and not deal with it. Let the few people that, enjoy the farming bit make some money. So at that point, you're just logging in, checking the player shop, logging out, type of situation. And then I ain't counting the whole outside dual quests. We have augment meant for dual quests, so that kind of make every other build kind of pointless for dual quests. Since just any in that, like, oh, he'll haul content, but you need X, Y, and Z to any stand a chance. And it's just like that take all freedom out of your character as far as builds. Like, as an example of that. So in return, it just, make dual quest feel like a separate thing instead of an interconnected thing. And just like, and a lot of that in NGS. They should do small little side quests in between 4 episodes. I agree. I still say, like, because they kind of do, like, a version of that. And more like, oh, here's an NPC. Go talk to them. What like, 3 cutscenes you done. Like, I have talked about how we need content and quests, like, outside of just the cities. Because, being like, oh, here's a new side story. You go talk to, like, 4 NPC, like, 20 minutes of cutscene. Done and done. It, like, like, yeah, that's how bait PSO2 did it. But at the same time, it's like, you have that map. Like, you could do stuff with it that not just go collect 20 fish, kill 10 mines, go, break 20 green boxes. Is like, and then just that on repeat and have been since beta. Because I do want the ability to be able to be like eat region, have NPC, have like a level system tied to that area. Well, the more you do quests in that area, the more you farm in that area, you gain level, you get reputation. Reputation equal, bigger quests, better rewards, better item, regional equipment that tied to that area. Like, like being like an example that would be like, oh, you out in, well, Alio Town was before he got blew up. Like, oh, you out there, that was a beat town. Okay, all the items that you're going to get from, like, getting your reputation up be like, oh, here are, like, all the bathing suits. Here are all of, like, the Hawaii stuff. All the stuff that was X or old AC items. Like, now the AC are gone, so you now can go do the quests and farm the items. And, like, and then have, like, with Tane be like, oh, this, so you get all, like, the desert gear, because you're in a desert. Like, Or like, oh, you're in the mountains, so now you're getting like lolly pinned up because lolly pin was backed up now, which is not anything insane. We see this in every MMO. Like hell, the beat tribes in Final Fantasy 14 is literally what I'm talking about. Instead of like just having like the 10 quests for the same lady in Alio or Retain or wherever, just do that every day. Because you need to do 25 of them to get like 30 points on your battle pass. Like, you literally just a hamster running in a wheel doing the same thing. And then anytime they do anything interesting, it's just like either the rewards are not good enough to make it worthwhile, or it's gone in a week. Yeah, the white stuff on the weapon. Exactly. Like, I remember spending hundreds of hours just trying to farm the ability to, to get a weapon that had life steal on it to make a very specific weapon from Zig. Like, and also, it sent, there was, hundreds of, like, augments, in bait PSO, and like you actually could build your character. Because that was the biggest thing about PSO2 when it come to the West. Like I saw so many like Japanese players and American players that play JP that like putting out videos like don't screw up your skill tree. It had like freedom to your builds, and we just don't have that at all since everything is so like linear to a point that everyone have to have, and then everyone have it, and then you realize it don't matter because having it doesn't make that big of a difference beyond killing a Origin Quest boss like 5 seconds faster. Yeah, because all the potency is all the same. It's literally like, 2.5 to potency, 3.2 range potency, 3.5 to 4 potency. It's just like it get a little more powerful, but it's still like the same template, just going up like 4 or 5 percentage. Not like you actually feeling you getting stronger. Or not even bringing in the whole thing about if you like level 75 and you go to like a rank 1 area, you will get your damage like nerfed. So your damage is less. So it'd be like you're in level 75 area, you're hitting for like, 3,000 in damage. You go back to a lower area, now you're hitting for like 100. It just like the whole like power scaling and feeling like you're getting stronger also doesn't exist. It's like numbers on a spreadsheet that don't mean anything in so many ways. So it's just like you wonder why people are just getting fatigued. It's like you're not rewarding them time, you're not rewarding them effort, you're not rewarding experimentation. You're not like rewarding like content for people to do, let alone content to do with people in your community. Might be your guild, might be whatever. It like literally it only exists in the social hub stuff, and that is like at the same time is like bare minimum, since there are plenty of other games that do the social stuff so much better than PSO. I'm looking at you, VR chat.
Kind of content.
Or Final Fantasy 14.
Creative spaces. That's like a side content, not the main content. I've just been playing it safe with the main content, with the core gameplay, the combat, and the story, etc. I've just been playing it safe. And to me, safe is just boring. I'd rather than want to experiment, do crazy things.
We need that.
Break the mold instead of it just being. Instead of it
I'd
just
be
trying
down
to
for
be
that.
casual, friendly all the time with everything. I do feel like sometimes I need to just. I don't know. Not listen to the players sometimes in a weird way, but also listen to them.
Yeah, because I'm in the camp of like, if all this, the whole listening to the player bit. I would say what is more important than listening to the player, by player I mean Japan, is don't listen to the players for say, listen to your competition. instead of focusing on what the Japanese player base want and the offhand comment we can sometimes get, G with pass on from all of us in the West, like yeah, something of course, but I feel like overall, well, NGS is right now. It literally, we might watch it after that. It literally like the freaking Yoshi P quote. What he said to the developers when they rebooted Final Fantasy 14. I'm paraphrasing because I don't remember that quote offhand, but along the line of you all need to go play WoW and other MMOs. Play other games and learn from it. And that is very much what NGS need in a lot of ways. And like I said, I feel the same way about Capcom when it comes to Devil May Cry. Not just a Sega thing. Like, you need to look and like be like, instead of looking at say like Blue Protocol and being like, since they said in an interview they pretty much added cell shading to the Blue Protocol. Instead of looking at Blue Protocol being cell shaded, probably wanted to look a little more than skin deep, literally. Like, what is Blue Protocol doing? What is Genshin doing? What is, Tower Fantasy doing? What is, WoW 14? Hell, VR chat, any of VR chat might be the closest thing they probably pay attention to. And they probably didn't even pay attention to it, just happenstance. But yeah, like, instead of looking like inwards or at a very specific demographic in Japan, like, honestly, looking at what is the MMO genre, not only today, but what it was in the 90s, the 80s, the 2000s. Like, what have MMO been? Since Sega bluntly called us a MMO. So, I feel like that could go so far, and I'm with Cato on that. Wait, did I say Genshin twice? I didn't mean to say Genshin twice if I did.
Listen to different kinds of players for different pieces of content. It's kind of hard to explain.
Wait, who's all saying add content? The problem is what is that content, Coon? Like, the player base, like, don't get me wrong, I can give an example, but how many people would actually give an example of content? Because I know the majority of the time when I see people in the community be like, add content. What content? Nothing. They got nothing. They just like add content. So like, that kind of get a little iffy. That too, play your own game also probably would help a lot. Absolutely. Oh, we more or less know they don't in many ways, Coon. Like the main producer guy been doing an interview recently, and yeah, I've been pretty much bluntly state that they don't really play NGS. Like, the people who play NGS is the people that obviously don't have a lot of power. We have like G with Dave, Danger, and whoever else on like the more social community PR side. But yeah, like, they have like heavily implied in a lot of interviews that none of the devs actually play. Oh, it was jab at Tower Fantasy. Okay. Okay, fair enough. Hey, I would say any Tower Fantasy is a better game than PSO in some ways.
Because not everybody's going
to
like
my hot take.
Content, right? That's why you put out different kinds of content to appeal to different kinds of players. That's why Creative Spaces is there, right? To appeal to the more creative players, the ones that don't care as much for combat, that want to have this be a little fashion simulator, builder, whatever. I think the same should be done for the combat, too. I feel like there should be some challenging content, albeit
that probably won't battle. Honestly, that probably won't battle then, Coon. Like, if they throw the stuff from Genshin, literally, because I know they did in some cases, but made it MMO, maybe that why better than PSO.
I think it should be optional. It shouldn't be forced challenge. But with that, Carter, or more difficult content, it should be also equally rewarding or feel like it's worth your time to do that content too. Casual friendly kind of ruined the patch this time. Why would I push?
Yeah, the thing they tried to do with dual quest but failed. Yeah, the biggest problem with dual quest was, like I was saying, it was them like bottlenecking people and like, you need the augments, you need the weapons. Like, which, you know, which is the main reason why I haven't like dived too heavily beyond doing it once or twice just to see the fights. But like, we kind of solved it back in Cabalist when you had to make like the armor to like stand out in the ice to fight that one boss, and then they just never used that mechanic ever again. Which is a whole thing that bothered me to this day of how they introduced like mechanic in Cabalist. That like they can go somewhere and then they just never touch it ever again or never, you know, put it into place. But like, with that being said though, with like dual classes of them being like how in Cabalist, you know, you need a weather protection, which why didn't we have like a heat resistant in Athea, for example? But it's like, oh, here's some augment that give you X potentials or X AP. And like, you want to stand a chance, you need the augments. It's like, so you just telling me like I have to literally use a very specific augment build to any Dudit content. You know, once again, no freedom to the player to, you know, do much there. Don't get me wrong, I imagine some probably pretty awesome player will probably have beat it without it. But at the same time, when the norm is the augment over everything else, and that is what you teach the player base to do, any of you can got a little wiggle room. It doesn't mean anyone will, because no one know any better, because it's so like enforced that you need the augments. That's like the biggest problem I have with like dual classes. Needed people houses to have built certain amount of stuff and parts. Yeah, because how many? I wonder how many people at that point literally just have like 10 areas saved. That is like the fastest to get to the tree, and they just log in one to tree, log out, or go back, pin and point, log out type of deal. I think because Cato just he just, yeah. I think Cato in muscle memory kind of similar to what I do sometimes. When you don't even realize what you're doing, you just doing.
150% out when 90% is good enough. Like the jump was huge, but so insignificant at the same time. Yeah. Yeah. Essentially, you can just do like the max level content with almost any gear. I think they tried to remedy that with the seasonal event gear, but not even everybody uses that for whatever reason. Because honestly,
Yeah.
this time the seasonal event stuff pretty solid. But I think
Yeah, it
it
stored
just comes down
that weapon.
to Sega not enforcing a stricter set of rules with certain content. Or at least the battle power system is just all out of whack where it doesn't even matter. Like battle
Yeah,
power
100% TI.
doesn't
Yep.
matter in the slightest because most of it comes from level, and then after that,
But yeah, because there's no fun just being like, put these 3
you know,
augments
like
on, you
upgrading
win.
your gear with like the
You know, if
enhancement
you
stuff. That's
semi
very
mediocre at
straightforward
best.
to NAP.
But that's
Like
not
that part
fun.
makes sense. You know, the more enhancement, the more you get out of it. It's the augments, which are a small portion of the battle power, but the most important at the same time. Like some of the most important stuff that you could do for your build, and it's like the least influential
Build chat.
with how the game sees it in terms of like gating people from content. I feel like a lot of people are fatigued in different ways. I do think it's mainly with the combat though. It's been very stale this entire time.
Yeah, for mine, it's
Like I
more
know
like
like lower
progression,
class
not
skills
really
and like some
combat.
balance changes, but essentially it's felt the same since the game's inception. They've added one more PA for each weapon,
like 90% of the
But
game being the
with
same
that, you
since
unlock it
inception.
right away. You just have it. There isn't any unlocking it through the game or anything. So from level 1 to level
I will be in a
75,
bit,
you
Joe.
play your class the same essentially the entire time, with the exception of some class skills and influence. But you get the
Yeah.
necessary class skills in the first region. You get 20 points, just like that, pretty much, if you get all
Yeah,
the
yeah.
goons.
Go back to what I have said. Like, the content doesn't change. You're doing the same thing with this and coat of paint on it. Like, good point, Heal, about the augment stuff. Like, your abilities are the same from the beginning all the way to end game.
So I feel like it's felt like the same game in terms of combat for these 2 years.
Yeah, you're not
And
like
I think people
learning as
want
a player.
a shift. I've seen more and more people play less or just straight up quit, whatever else. And I feel like a lot of people have just been riding
One fun
along,
being one
hoping
shot it,
for
yeah.
change. And version 2 was their big
It's
beacon
just not fun
across the
content.
water. But then when we arrived, it turned out that it wasn't like a beacon. It was actually like some sirens singing to us and going
Yeah.
to, drown us in the water.
I don't fully agree with Catseal, but at the same time, I see a point. I feel like, honestly, well, version 2 for me is, once again, it could be 100% copium on my end. I'm usually the more, middle of the road on a lot of stuff. I fall like, it's probably going to go bad, but there'll be some good stuff in there. Usually where I fall on most stuff. I try to find the good and the bad. But with that being said, maybe the copium thing, maybe a G Wiz and the jokes that don't land, I don't know, have won me over. I don't know. But I kind of feel right now, is I follow version 2 is concerned. In two phases here. On one hand, if August is as good as G Wiz keeps saying it is, which hopefully it is, we will see here in like a month or less than a month now. If it's good, I feel like housing with more of with Cat, more of like a siren hill. I feel like August is going to be the beginning of, I don't want to say the beginning of the end by any means, I mean end like on a personal level, but I feel like depending on whatever the hell August going to be, with what G we've been saying, and then if Sega can nail the landing, I feel like at that point I will go from being like, well, I am now, of being kind of like, I'm healed. I'm healed because I still love you type. I just want to get you back. I'm literally the level trying to root for the significant other to we have right now, and how I feel. But I feel like August gonna set the tone for like, okay, do you want to get better? And depending on, once again, with G-Wib being like, oh, they're up not on the battle pass yet. Oh, not battle pass, sorry. World map yet. There was still a lot more stuff coming that not on the world map. First of all, why is it not on the world map? Beyond the whole worrying about it getting delayed, but, if you're more on it with your player bait, if it delayed, you could tell us. Like, don't get me wrong, people would still be angry, but we would probably feel a lot better about the situation nonetheless. Once again, the whole keeping everyone in the dark at all points, including own employee half of the time. But I feel like, though, overall, if G-Wib write about the content August, and then G-Wib write about the content that not on the roadmap that supposed to be out this year, I feel like by the end of the year, that will be the time for the majority of the more hardcore players and content creators. Don't get me wrong, content creators have always started dropping like flies. But I feel like if August doesn't feel like it's trying to get better, and then the rest of the year kind of just fall flat because it can't exactly help them allow if you don't tell the people what's coming, any if it does get delayed. And like you leave everybody in the shadows and it not better by the end of the year, I feel like that's going to be the time where like the majority of people just be like, I'm out. I'm just done. You know? That's what it feels like at that point. Because it's like, I just wish, like, they would be like so much more upfront. You know, just beat it home that like, hey, here's everything that on the docket. We believe we can do this year. Here it is. Here what we got. Here what we are planning. This is what we want to do. And if you can't hit it, it get canceled. You keep your player update. You have a Glory Dev event every month. Keep your players in the loop. Any if it get delayed or just straight up cancel. As long as we know and we don't have like a fucking shove under the butt situation like what happened to Overwatch. Where like, yeah, single player coming. Oh, no, it's just gone now. Like, have like in the case of that as an example of how not to do this. But if you have like a true line, okay, we have a problem with this, we walking this, we're gonna try to make it this year, there's no guarantee. You know, just be more upfront about it. Especially if you already know it, like, we wanted this year, we gonna do it this year. The only way we're not doing it if it get delayed or canceled, like, so you obviously already committed, you know, the money in the workforce to these things. Just let us know what it is. Keep us up to date. Give us an update every month on it. If something get delayed or just don't work out, you know, I feel like if you are upfront with your player base and keep them in the loop, any if it doesn't work out, like, outside the people that can be angry to be angry, because everybody angry, there are more people that would be more understanding instead of just being like, you know, left out in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of like a tornado with no umbrella, you know, where we all like right now. And just like, you know, I don't think we as Sega ever going to do that though. So, I feel like that's the other thing that is, you know, the biggest problem here. Made the game too casual. Yeah, a lot of people in Capital chat was saying that as well. Like, yeah, it kind of feel like they wanted to go for the casual, like, not only the casual market. I don't want to say like mobile market by any means because, you know, that is bleeding so much nowadays, but the thing is, it feel like they wanted to go for the casual market without understanding the casual market. You know, it feel like you talk to your grandparent and be like, so what is video game? You mean the Nintendo? You know, it feel like that. You know, it feel like we going for the casual. So what you plan for the casuals? Casuals, but what the plan? Casuals, and like, you know, it had that vibe to it, where it's just like, nothing wrong going for the casual, but at the same time, it really feel like, you know, you don't understand how to get the casuals. You know, it really do feel like the old man in the corner of the room trying to figure out how to make a PDF, you know, just a little bit. They had a bleak Quaboy. You wouldn't care about content ever. That'd be the dream. That would be like one of them cases to get the Bleach outfit and be like, I'm good. Never got to play this again. Probably for a lot of people, to be honest. Like, a lot of that player will come back, get the outfit, and then never log in again. Better content next year, who knows? I think in one of them cases, like, obviously, like I have said many times over the years, is like, New Genesis will eventually get to a point we all wanted to be. It's just the question, will anyone be there to care when they get to that point? Like, that is, like, my biggest question. Because, like, you know, the way they're burning out the community, and especially the community that have the word of mouth power, to make some waves in the community. Like, if you like burning out your biggest supporters, not even financially, but just in general, like, that only going to take you so far for so long. The Japanese content creator. What have the Japanese content creator been saying? Are they equally as like melancholy as as everyone over here is? Exactly. That whole thing is like, yeah, the casual don't even want to touch it because like for the majority of like the casual, we saw this at launch, right? The majority of the casual people that was interested in NGS kind of hoard right out of the gate of like, yeah, it bad, it no content, it buggy, all the issues. And then the casual just went and did other stuff. Might it be, Genshin, Final Fantasy, WoW, whatever. Like, they had the casual market dealt. They had people that never have ever touched PSO or barely ever touched PSO interested in New Genesis. And then just like how bad the launch was and how silent Sega was there for like the first 2 to 3 months. And just all that goodwill just got lost. So it like, at least over here in the West anyway. Like, don't get me wrong, they got some back during the PS4 launch, but how many is still around now is the question. Do the same thing every day and just chatting with them viewers. Yep. 100% Mason. Yeah, everything copy and paste, and yep. Like I have talked about before, like it's like at least if you're gonna copy and paste stuff, you have a game that's been built upon for 10 years. Like, yeah, just pull a freaking like Call of Duty or something, and just take the back content for PSO2, make it pretty, or make it open world. There you go, NGS. It's like, it's like NGS still falls into, I feel like, that whole design structure of a lot of Japanese companies. Of like, well, we did that already, can't ever do that again. And then they just never do. Or if they do, they had to bring it back and do something kooky with it or give it a different name and hope nobody realizes the same content.
And I feel if they keep going down the same path where they're not changing enough, then I feel more and more people will drop off and play other games that are doing that.
Or just play other games in general.
I'm not saying that they need a whole, like, revolution of the game or something, but it just needs to not be stale anymore.
I have given example of stuff they could do with what they already have in the game.
Sectors in every single region, and then they're telling us to go back to the same sectors over and over again with these new ranks. It just gets old.
We are back to 2020, 2021 trap.
Like, sure, they ended the Starless Enemies, but it's not really enough.
Also, the Starless Enemies are like, don't get me wrong, 1 or 2 do have some new moveset, but nothing enough to be notable. And then on top of that, with the lore reason, which also can, save money reason, I'm literally just being like weekend, and now they purple instead of blue, and now they might have a round head instead of a spiky one. Like, that doesn't do much either.
I wonder what else they have plans, because, I mean, was anybody else feeling like the next 6 months are not going to be good either?
I agree with that, Mason. Like, yeah. Because to be totally honest, there was a lot of stuff in Cabalist between, like, building Pacific Guild for Pacific area, which ended up boiling down just being a boss and nothing more, which is the most disappointing thing about it. And not using that mechanic going into a Thea. The whole building your weapon with Kaiser. Like, there were parts in Cavalry that very much seemed like, yeah, they were like, I remember, you can go back and watch my live stream from them days, they were like, yeah, this is bullshit, but You know, it was like they were building towards something, and I'm with you. And then it just like, you know, a Thea came out, and it just went, not doing that ever again. Just like I'm with you. I think that is honestly a good point of just like everybody complained about how much of bullshit it was to like hunt down like the enhanced enemy to unlock the shop. And it feel like Sega got the whole, instead of taking up like, hey, is it way too random to unlock this? Um, Maybe you need to do one or two like little tweaks, such as letting out hunt them in any region, what they ended up doing. But like, yeah, you kind of feel like they took that that feedback and be like, well, they just hate that content and then never touch it again. They're like, I'm with you. I'm with you 100% on that. I kind of feel that way because like a lot of the stuff they were doing that I was hoping were going to get flushed out in a Thea, you know, such as, you know, the equipment being tied to environmental stuff and, you know, some of the stuff that could come from that, and then they just never did. They're like, 100%. Yeah, mate, if we yeah, just imagine if like if we got to like a Thea as an example and be like, okay, you are outside, like you outside in the areas, now you outside of the volcano, you good. The farther you go into the volcano, the more hot you get. The more hot it get, meaning distant equipment and augment you need in it. And then you could start throwing in like what I still want to do with like the mag system of being like, okay, your mag have four to five body parts. So like that head is better at scanning enemy level. That one can scan HP. That one can find, you know, treasure chests. That one can like scan like when the asteroids are falling, being like, okay, you need to upgrade your mag so you wouldn't even get the Lord on the ground turn. Your asteroid gonna hit. If you don't have that, you will get hit by asteroid more. And then also on top of that, having it be like, hey, this the dungeon in Athea is like the temperature like 300 degree. So you need like this other stat, not an augment, just like a stat that you can put on and off on your equipment, like augments, or not augments, sorry, materials. Of being like, instead of doing battle power, be like, hey, this area 200 degree, you need elite 200 plus resistant to fire in here. If not, you're gonna just slowly die. And if you're below a certain point, you just you just fall dead. Um, and then literally have it like set up where like that item have like a recharge state on it. Well, like once you're in there, it only lasts so long, and once you leave, you have to like go out and do you know, other stuff. Might it be like, you know, a crap where you like had to collect energy, gather around like you do like we do for the freaking yellow crystal thing we sell. Reactors, like the reactors. You have to go collect the energy sources on the ground to heal yourself. In other words, it's Lot Planet. If you play that, you know what I'm talking about. And then it'd be like, if you can make it to the end of content, you have a chance to like have an item drop where you don't have to do that anymore. And now you can go to like the rank 2 of that quest where like 3 times harder. And it's just like, no, none of that ever happened. Like, there were like so much like little thing they could have done like that, and I thought that was well they were going, and then, you know, nope.
Only one who thought that. The only thing that I'm looking at that has any potential is those standing quests. But it
How you doing, White?
really is heavily dependent on those quests, which is a bad sign, I think. So I'm not even really looking forward to much of the story, because the story we're getting in like 20, 30-minute increments. And it's, I don't
Oh,
like
the
that at
game
all.
gonna
I
last at
hate what
least
they did
another
with the
5 years.
story only being in like one quest chunks. Like, what the fuck is that? What is that shit? You're playing other
That
things, and
literally
so they just
bait
want this to be a
PSO2 how
main
they did
game.
originally.
Yeah. So they want it to be a main game, but not at the same time. They changed a lot of the routine. A lot of people, you know, like a lot of the focus was on doing the weekly stuff, right? So just logging in to do the weeklies. The dailies didn't matter as much, except for doing a weekly, which you only had to do like 4 days worth. But now the focus is on doing daily content. They want you to log in every day to do things, but There
It's
really
the
isn't
same
anything
thing.
holding that up, though, right? It's literally
Yeah.
just doing dailies to get some Masetta. Get some
Yeah, you're
extra
doing
tiers
daily
on the
to do
mission
daily at a
bonus.
checklist
Yeah, it's
thing.
contradictory because there isn't any content that you want to do on a daily basis that's necessarily fun or continuously fun, at least
Like one to the mag, like
for
let off
me, who's been
fish.
playing a long time.
Like
Like I've said a million
get some food off
times,
a
I think for
tree.
a new player, this game would be like really good to just play through.
Oh yeah.
And there's like a lot of things that you'd be new to.
It's just the
But
thing is that eventually
I
you
don't know,
will
at
hit
the
a
same
wall, like I have
time,
talked about.
basically every sponsored streamer that I see play this game does not stick with it at all. They play it the one time and that's it.
Yeah.
One and done. Never see them play this again. And a lot of people in the chat don't seem too enthused about the game.
Mm-hmm.
They're just there because streamer.
Yeah.
I feel like that's very telling.
Yeah, because we still got like the
this game
bad
doesn't
stigma on it.
appeal enough. It does not appeal.
And it's supposed to appeal to all the
Does not hold
casual.
players.
It's just
I honestly
not.
think it's only mainly those that are already invested
Yeah.
are keeping this game afloat. That have been invested in Phantasy Star for a long time. That's what Sega did kind of perfectly. Is they released base game to global users to get them hooked onto that, and then came out with NGS so then they could hold them in for that game because nostalgia. Or
Mm-hmm.
I have stuff that carries over to this game, so it doesn't matter as much, and base game's still there, so yeah.
Not
That's
really,
the thing.
but
If people are just gonna buy the AC items with it being like this, why make it better if they already get your money? I mean, what's the point of changing things if they're already getting the money? I think that's how
yeah.
they see it. They're
Yeah,
playing
long
it
the money
safe
coming
route.
in.
Safe route.
Yeah, the problem is with bait game is like they have to remove so much stuff from bait game, and then not counting of like there were no like honestly, when was the last time Sega have talked about bait game? Like legit talked about bait game. Like it was literally Attack on Titan in what was that? The end of 2021. Like, oh yeah, we got the 11-year anniversary for PSO2. Is there anything happening in PSO2? No. It all fans over in NGS. And not even that. It's more like he'll lolly pin and he'll one of the waifu from episode 4. And that's it. Like just imagine if they did like something in bait being like, hey, all the content never got gutted. They still had like a calendar like showing like what Origin Quest happening when, where, what time. Just have every single Origin Quest on a rotation. And be like, hey, we celebrate the 11-year anniversary. If you go back and play it now and you complete the story, we will give you like 1,000 AC or if you go back and play like certain game modes such as like PvP or whatever game mode that is quote unquote dead at that point, like go back and play that and we will give you like there's exclusive like NGS like high red version of like Luthor outfit or Shiva outfit or like whatever, and also then have all the seasonal event on like rotation as well over there. Like there was no co-op promotion at all, and we told maybe that bleed into what like G we were talking about. With G we were talking about how like, oh, this game and that game's are two separate franchises in Sega eyes. Maybe that what's happening here as well, and just like. Because like I said, the biggest mistake was for Global was burning through the content. Like, they needed that content to stay and be like for example, be like, oh, it's 6 months? We got a expansion in NGS. Months and a half later, expansion in PSO2.
We want TroyMaconn and Zinc as a PSO stream.
I agree. We need to get on that. And also, welcome back, Z. How you doing? But yeah, they were like just bouncing off of each other like that. It'd be so much better, but obviously, we know why they doing what they are doing. It's because Japan. But man, it would be great if that were the case. Instead, they just like they kill the web So like, they killed the method board. They like literally, other than the Attack on Titan crossover, they haven't talked about PSO2 and had like motivation for people to play PSO2 beyond, you know, Dave being like, here's some Waggle memories. But the thing is, the people who watching Dave play PSO on YouTube streams, you know, is like us, you know. And not for like the new players that have come into NGS and have only played NGS. But no, there was no motivation to go back. The economy had broken. They removed content. There was so much stuff that required parties that you can't do anymore. There was too much planning around doing it, and not counting that some upgrade item you just cannot any get anymore. Like that was one of the other big mistakes I feel like Sega did, was literally, you know, literally like gutting bait PSO. Believe they should. Yeah, they should have, at least in the West anyway. Because, you know, at least us in America, you know, we didn't have like the 10 years of jadedness that Japan had. But, you know, once again, we are the redhead stepchild here. But yeah, it would have been so much better if they didn't want the content and they was actually releasing the content in parallel with each other. Because let's be honest, it's been, what, almost 3 years now, and we finally get to the point like, oh yeah, everyone dead from Bait Game. We probably would have been like, ideally, we would have hit the end of episode 6 like a month before, you know, chapter 5 here. You know? New bot, more like resizing it to a bigger size. Yep. That did a lot of... Hell, they did that with like normal enemy, where you had like dread enemies that just became like normal small mobs. They became baby mobs. That is true. Like the market is way too screwed up because like they had no like foresight on that or caring on that end. Which the same thing gonna happen in NGS eventually. The that same thing gonna happen. And you know that another big turnoff for players. Because anyway, someone over here that have multiple $1 billion, I could buy like 5 things and then be broke. And never be able to buy anything ever again. Like the economy just in shambles. At that point, the economy needed to be a waste and started over. But obviously they're not going to do that. Hell, in some cases, I wonder if some Sega employee any know PSO is still wanting. I had the question here. You know, they're quoting it with like Final Fantasy 11, where like, oh, there are like 10 people walking on that. Wait, that game's still alive? You know, like any in Square Enix. Exactly, that's the whole thing I'm saying, T.I. Like, yeah, people will go back to bait during the law mode. Absolutely. Just imagine, like, between content of NGS, we actually had new stuff and baits. Like, any if they took 10 years of content and boiled that down to like 5 years, that is still more than enough content to last, you know, for at least 5 years at least. And then hopefully by that point, you know, NGS be, you know, standing on their own 2 feet. You would hope. Anyway. Yeah, it would be fine, yep. Yeah, I would still follow me in bait PSO I will till I realize that like half of the stuff that I need to get done I just literally can't do anymore. And that will kind of kill bait for me in a lot of ways. Exactly, yeah. Yeah, lead those like fashion stuff as well. Bought out all the emotes. Exactly, yeah, give out, yeah, the weapons like candy instead of letting you farm it. Exactly, because that's the biggest thing. Either they give them out easily, or they make them near impossible. There's no, like, middle ground. You know? like the closest middle ground we had with the Kaiser weapons. But at the end of the day, you still were doing like the full content to farm the weapon. Just imagine, like as an example with the Kaiser stuff. Just imagine if you needed to get like, I think it was 4 items, right? 4 or 5. That you still had to get them, but you could do like 15 different activity to farm it. It'd be like, oh, do you want battle sector? Oh, do you want, like towels or cocoons? Oh, do you want to do field ways? Just like, instead of being like, do these 4 things for the next month and then get your Kaiser, it should be more like, do like 20 things and get your Kaiser, Exactly. Either a freebie weapon or RNG, hell, absolutely.
If they say they wanted to use creative spaces as a means to get new players, yeah. They did. I just don't think it was as effective as they think it is. I could be wrong.
I could be
definitely
at
know that
well,
there's
but I
some
don't
people
think it
that play
is
this game
either.
because of that exact reason. Definitely did get some new players. I don't know if they stuck around with the game.
100% TI.
I don't know if they played like other content or how many people that involves, but it did something. I just don't know if it did enough or not. I don't know. Once again, I think that's not what everybody came to this game for in the first place, though. I think the majority came for the gameplay, the core gameplay, the combat, the story. At least that's what it was with base game, right? I feel
Yeah.
like base game story,
Progression was.
albeit kind of cringy or cheesy
It was
at
better,
some points,
but
I thought was infinitely better throughout the entirety of it. Let's say we're still in episode
yeah, it got better
1
as
of
it went.
games, right? Episode 1 of base game was so
Oh god.
good, at least for me. Like, there's a lot of emotion attached. You got to know the characters a lot more.
I'm still in the camp about episode 1. I still don't think it's good, but it would need it. By the time you got to, because like I said, the big thing was mainly the end of episode 1. Like, that was obviously the highlight. But I feel like episode 1 and then most of episode 2 would build up just so the latter half of 2 and 3 could be so good. It would fill with content that you tolerated that became overly relevant. I kind of feel about that as I feel like a lot of people feel about like what was it, Dying Gate. It kind of like that in a lot of ways.
And characters actually develop. Like, even in the first episode. While in this, doesn't feel like that's really the case at all. Like, the only one that you could argue is maybe 2 is maybe Manon, maybe
Manon probably would be the
Kinda.
most.
Those
I
two might have
would
evolved,
say
but every other character feels exactly the same as when you first met them.
I would say Manon
And
had the biggest
they're either
growth, and that
one-dimensional
not
or
saying
have
much.
no emotion. And
That one you
there's also,
gotta
like, this
read a
big
comic,
thing,
Cap.
for some reason, that they want people to rush through
God.
the game to get to end game when but then
There
there's
was no
end
in game.
Like, has everybody else thought that? They're trying to give more and more XP or trying to rush the process of getting to the max level.
And then there was no point to be mat level.
Sometimes I wonder, like, why are the levels even there in the first place?
I wonder about that,
no
about battle power.
just being in that number. Because in base game, they give you skill points, which could have drastically changed how you played, with different class skills and shit. But now the class skills are tied to cocoons. So, like, literally the only reason for levels is, like, stat stick. Like, just stat.
And to still
increase.
say it have RPG mechanics.
And
Or to just hit
a
that
requirement
note.
for equipment. They can equip certain things. Try to trivialize leveling so it doesn't seem like a drag. Well, it's because they made it a drag.
Yeah, they could make
I
leveling
feel like leveling in certain games
more fun.
doesn't feel like a drag because the journey is actually fun.
Exactly.
It's actually fun to, like, go through all the different things.
Well, in this,
while
it
leveling.
what?
I don't mind
Battle Sector and
leveling
Yellow
the
Trigger,
game.
and that it.
As long as what I'm doing is fun. Like as long as I get access to content along the way that's fun instead of just, kill this thing 30 times and that's it. And then, you know, at the end
Yeah.
game, that's where the dungeons and raids unlock. I think Blue Protocol is kind of in a weird spot for it. Because there is, like, a lot of quests that are, like, kill X amount of this thing, or get these materials, whatever. A lot of the quests are just like that. But at the same time, when you're leveling, you get upgraded skills or more skills to use, mess around with, as well as unlocking new modes like arenas, dungeons, raids, which are like urgent quests. There's a lot already there right off the bat, and the game just released. I wonder how bad it is for a new player. Like,
Yo,
if they
how
get
you doing, dude?
overwhelmed with everything or not.
Yeah, you can still play base.
Because for most of us,
Yeah, if you
we've been
want.
here near the beginning.
Mainly
or at
play
the
football gym at anything.
It's been like a more gradual process.
But how you doing, dude? Welcome.
With like with a new player thing planned with, you know, the augment system enhancement, the leveling, the class skills, getting the cocoons and the towers, and then going through each of the regions.
Yeah, 2 to 5 minute quests at a level. Yep.
All these bosses and whatever's modes, what's good to do, what's not good to do, because a lot of the stuff is not worth fucking doing at all anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I think this was a little while back, like, I don't know, a few months ago or more, when there was people doing GeoLab Rank 1 thinking that was the thing to do, because it was a long piece of content, and they thought that's where some good drops were, because it was a pain in the ass. Like, nope. Nope.
Yeah, just a pain.
Not fucking worth doing in the slightest. Oh yeah, it scales to your level, but it doesn't scale the rewards. Oh yeah, I thought because it's, you know, level 70, you know, or level 60 some, whatever it was at the time. That would give me good stuff. But nope.
Nope. You still getting rank 1 level? Like 1 thought up.
Made it scale for basically no reason.
Mm-hmm.
Just said weapon badges or fragments that is not RNG based. It's ready to go along with RNG progression.
It literally, like I have said before, literally the enemy take a little more hit. And that it like so artificial in so many ways, because they're like, oh yeah, the enemies are a little stronger because they're higher level. You might get a little more billions level. Problem is when you hit 75, it's like, you know, you got no reason to be here. Because it's literally just like an artificial, like, wank. Any of the enemy supposed to be harder, but in some cases, like, are they? Is it, you know, it's just like, once again, it like no sense of power growth at all. So it just feels the same at Wink 1 as it does at, you know, Wink 5.
Yeah.
And then the drop doesn't matter.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of how, like, Blue Protocol does it. Like I said, like, you can... There's content that you should do to get the materials to make these weapons, but the same content, you have a chance of dropping the weapons straight up. So... that is basically what you're asking for. That's basically what you're asking for, is what Blue Protocol has. Like, in the same content that you're doing, you can just get it. But at the same time, you can eventually just craft.
Yeah, because they're
like Steel was one of the better times.
Cause like what talking about now is like, if you're doing the content, you're just getting the item to make it later. Like, oh, if it drop, you get it now. If it don't drop, you make it. Take 3 hours or whatever the time is. But at the same time, you know, you have that like carrot on stick knowing, being like, oh, I'm getting like, you know, one item every, you know, 5 kills or whatever it might be in Blue Protocol. And at the same time knowing like, oh, okay, I need 100 of these so that, you know, you can roughly guesstimate in your head like, oh, so if I do this for like 2 hours, I'm going to get a weapon anyway. Or I could get the weapon in that 5 minutes. So it like, you know, it add that whole sense of I'm going to continue fighting because I'm going to get what I want. And you know you're going to get what you want in one way or another. But when it all complete RNG like bait PSO is, like, there was no through line. You could get in 5 minutes, or you could get in, like, you know, 20,000 hours, depending, you know. So it's just, like, you know, you don't have that, like, build up of knowing you're getting ready to get what you want, and that, you know, that excitement of will it drop, you know. you don't have like a window to put your head in. You just it just left up in the air. Yeah, or you never get it. Exactly. And like if like the example being like if you in a box and you know where the edges are, and you know when you touch the edge, you can bust out and we don't get the item, appealed to being in like an empty void of nothingness. And that is the PSO. You in the void of nothingness. You could get it in 5 minutes, you could get it in 20,000, or you could never get it. There's no like, no hook or no like motivation there, because there's a good chance you would just never see it.
Times for gearing, like with this game period, because there was the
I give up.
that you get with
I'm
the
in the give up
right?
territory.
Which you either got.
I get it. If not, I buy it. If not, say you will give it to me.
Giants, whatever. But while you were doing,
or something better will come along
you
in
had
a week.
Chance of getting the Gunblaze weapons, right? Which a lot of people wanted. But you're working towards the Clothis weapon at the same time. But I didn't feel like your time was necessarily wasted because you were still making progression towards something that you wanted, right?
Yeah, well, I was talking about.
But then they just screwed it. They fucking screwed it with Neos Astrian and also this Dasa series. It just feels so off. I'm not really farming for a 9-star weapon. I'm just killing stuff here to do
zoning out
training. I'm not really counting on getting a 9-star. Like, it's just too fucking rare. And for a 9-star weapon, I'm basically not waiting until they come out with a new easier to get.
Yeah.
And if I get one to drop, then fuck yeah. That'd be amazing, but I'm not counting on it. No fucking way. I'm actually get the
Right there, like example of that. Like you don't want that response. You want like, oh yeah, I'm farming it. I will get it probably in the next hour or two. Maybe. I should. And like, instead of just like, no, I'm not getting it until they bring out that one. Not happening. I know I'm not getting it. And like, that might do kind of channel literally what I've been saying. Like, thank you for proving my point, Cats.
Flex. Yeah, I get to flex my luck. What is there to flex? It's not like I fucking earned it.
Exactly, yeah.
Not really a flex. Oh yeah, look at this big weapon I got, guys, for the content that doesn't fucking matter. Look at this, I got big damage.
You remember chat back in the day, in older MMOs, when you walk through a town and you see someone with an armor or a headpiece or a weapon, and you look at them and be like, oh my god, that dude did that content. He was able to do that content. He got that. Oh my god, he must be a godlike player. I want to be like him. We don't have that anymore,
I can do this
chat.
10 seconds faster than you guys. Get fucked.
Not now.
More damage.
literally my whole thing. Like 10 seconds faster. Yep.
It's challenging enough to
Thank you, Cass, on that.
Really going for the 9-star, like needing it, I guess, or wanting it really bad. Like
I don't blame you, Ti.
Twice. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah,
I don't blame you.
Biding my time, waiting for August. August they already confirmed that there's going to be another 9-star weapon. I don't know how easy it's going to be to get, but I imagine it will be easier than the Dasa weapon.
Oh.
Or maybe at least Dasa will be easier.
I'm calling it now. They're gonna probably put that weapon. What they will probably do in the new content will be able to, like, okay, play the new content with Eat Quats. Beat it once with Eat Quat, you just get the new weapon for that Quats. I'm calling it. How about pinning the house? Not fully. I was working on it last night though, but not fully.
Get, then. That's how it usually goes, right? Is that there's a super fucking rare thing and it becomes way easier to get. Because that's what happened with the rugged weapons. That's what happened with Gunblaze.
Yeah.
That's what happened with the Relic series. It's just eventually going to happen. I've been wanting to play other things on stream too, other than just PSO2. I don't know, I feel like even if you're not a streamer, it seems like a lot of people are just kind of going to other games for the time being. Like, a lot of people have been fatigued on PSO2 right now. Just been trying to expect other things and it just isn't happening, so playing the same thing over and over again is very fatiguing, very tiring. After you know, a couple years plus doing it. Yeah, hitting that limit. I think for me, I won't really like quit PSO2, but I definitely will wean off of it and just kind of play it sparing. You know,
I'm kind of the camp on me, and I will. Trying to do auto content.
So bad.
Trying to do day afloat.
I guess it is what it is. It is what it is.
But, you know, I do will absolutely couple like headline streams and whatnot.
Like that game is the one I played the longest out of any game ever.
Final Fantasy 11 PSO is mine, yeah.
It's definitely stuck with me a lot. But the way that I used to play games, like I would get this new game or start this new game, I just play the shit out of it for like, you know, a few days or up to a month or something like that, and then I would just quit. I just like play the shit out of it to basically like 100% it or something if it's a game that you could like 100%. And I just move on to the next.
And then I would come back. I would do the same thing, but now I would come back like a year or two later if I really liked the game.
There's some other MMOs I stuck with like a little bit longer, but kind of the same way. It really depended on how many friends I had with it or what kind of game it was. You know, with PSO2, you know, I stuck with that. Like, I started with base. I had a break kind of during episode 4 until NGS's launch. A little bit after NGS's launch, about like a month or two.
Yeah, I haven't had a break since NGS.
So
like from base to the last like 6 months,
but
7 months.
Might be due for another break like I had with base game. Unfortunately, or at least apparently, I stopped when it was getting good. But you know, it is what it is. That was like when a lot of the interactive concerts were coming in, more in-depth combat or modes. And I was just like sick of urgent quest after urgent quest after urgent quest being the content. And that was basically about it. And like exploration. So there wasn't really anything else at the time. But there was Ultimate Quest that my lines did quite often. I just felt like exploration zones things or exploration quests again. That's when I quit.
I mainly did the whole
going through a rut.
The ABC quest or whatever they were called. Was that Van Quest, I think is what they call it.
I can only imagine what JP was through. It's hard to say. Like, I have fun at moments with PSO2, but it's becoming fewer and fewer. And when I first started streaming, like during Retem, there's a lot more people that were active. It feels like nowadays when I stream, people will like watch and stuff and like, interact in chat, but nobody plays with me much anymore.
Yeah, I feel like the end of Retain when it kind of, to be honest, it kind of feel like content creator wise, it feel like going into Cabal's area and when like, oh, I should say. End of Alio, we saw a drop-off of content creators. We saw another one, like, around, like, I would say mid-Cabal-ish shit. And then, like, the last, like, 5 months, it's just been, you know, it's just been, like, a deep climb to the point of just, like, for, like, us who, you know, do PSO videos, you know, at least a video a week. In the case of most of us, more than that. I think it's like, what? 4 of us? 5 of us? If that.
It just doesn't feel as good. You know?
But yeah, like, I agree with a lot on that end. I'm just like, yeah. Sadly, that just kind of like the state that PSO2 is, like, in right now, and, like, because I still stand by my statement of the game will get where we want it eventually, but will anyone care by the time it happens? Without the Nintendo console can run NGS, there probably will not be a second boom at all. Especially with the way, you know, the sponsorship stuff been going for a lot of content creator. Because, you know, we have like most of the sponsor ones, and like it had been like, I'm not meaning it's like in a bad way told the content creators, but the best way to put it is like between like watching like Death of the Game, watching like MMO by the few other like sponsor videos we have watched. You know, it very much come across as like unlock 11 classes, 4 regions, unlimited content. Like, you know, it feels very much like they're just reading off a teleprompter instead of, you know, it feel like the videos are ads that you would see in the beginning of video where it'd be like, you know, like, welcome back to your number one topic PSO, blah, 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 blah. Today we looking at this, but first a word from our sponsor, blah, 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 blah. Okay, now let's talk about Diana, you know, or Luna, they screaming at me. Hi, cat. That what it feel like. I feel like it should be like them little like minute to 2 minute like sponsorship ad blobs in video instead of like whole videos, because it does feel very much like what we saw with Death of the Game and with MMO Bite. It like literally there were like whole lines in both video that was identical to each other. You know, it lacked the content creator, you know, oomph to it. Might it be because Sega had horribly restricted with the sponsorship? I don't know. They're never going to sponsor us, let's be honest. So I don't know what the contract looked like, if all the requirements look like. Or like on the other hand, just feel very much like if you're doing a sponsor to get the eyes of that content creator community on the game, probably the last thing you want to do is just have the content creator read off a whole bunch of boards and then be like, in the case of Death of the Game, like, yeah, I played it for 2 hours. It seemed great, you know? Go play it. And like, you know, lacking literally what Kat brought up there of just like, you know, the content creators that have got the sponsorships don't feel like they really care what the sponsorship had done, and the people watching it obviously don't care. You know, like I said, the only like, this is like one of them cases like which is probably way outside of Sega pay grade, but we need content creator for sponsorship like Maximilian, because you know Maximilian played PSO 2-3 times like NGS on his channel just to play it, and like because he a PSO fan, and like I watched all the times he have streamed it that I'm aware of anyway, that he streamed it. And like, you know, you could tell he actually liked it. He actually was having fun. It just, you know, obviously, you know, how his channel is, you know, it kind of leaned more into the whole fighting game nostalgic stuff. But, you know, you could feel that like quibma coming off of him. Of like, you know, liking it, and, you know, any of it more like nostalgic reason for liking it, not like long term like. But, you know, like that type of vibe is what like the content creator or what Sega need to be looking for in the sponsorships. But instead, like the ones we have seen have been very much like unlock the classes, you know, like the dimes a dozen sponsorships that, you know, like I get on like a daily basis. Hell, any on a daily basis, I feel like most of the sponsorships I get email from would give me way more freedom than it felt like Sega were doing. But once again, haven't seen the contract, don't know for a fact. But I can say from my experience with sponsorships, you know, it doesn't seem like, you know, there are a lot of like freedom in there beyond, you know, bill must be paid, which more power to them content creators. You get that money. But yeah, like, but yeah, I feel like Maximilian would be like the type of content creator you want to do sponsorship for PSO. You know, the people who know that, you know, even if they don't play it on a regular basis, they care enough to actually have some type of feeling tied to it. So, yeah. Let's see. Got good and could want it. Yeah, the problem with the Switch version is that is a cloud version only in Japan, and like hell, it's Sega gonna set up server for a cloud version over here in the West. That's not happening. But yeah, overall, here you go, champ. Go give Cat some love. Gonna be all sad, any cats. Be sure to give cats all the love, chat. Here's the video. And it will probably go up on a YouTube video, and if it is like almost an hour and a half long on a 24-minute video, yay! That's what we do, chat. If you're watching it over on YouTube or gonna watch this after the fact on YouTube and you made it this far, make sure to do the thumbs up, subscribe, hit all the bells, or I believe, well, where is it, chat? Where is it? There it is.
Yeah, make sure you keep hitting that
Thank
like
you.
button.
You gotta beat me to it.
Like,
yeah, do the like button. Thank you. You beat me to it. I was in the part there pushing. Thank you. Like, favorite, and subscribe. Hit all the button for more PSO videos. And come on over to twitch.tv/TroyMaconn, where we live right now. We also live on YouTube. So come over, say hi. We do all sorts of stuff. Mainly just be sad about PSO. But nonetheless, go give cats some love, chat.